For our development environment, we will be using the services from Cloud9 with an online IDE that will allow us to code in Mongo and Node.js. So head on out to c9.io with your favorite browser. Hopefully Google Chrome is your favorite browser. And you should see a screen that is similar to what you see on my screen. If you don't already have a Cloud9 account, you can click the Try It Now button to set an account up. We want to get a freemium account at no charge. If you already have a Git or Bitbucket account, you can use those credentials to set your account up, which is kind of convenient because then you've got a direct link to online source control. When you do get your account set up, you can navigate to what's called the dashboard screen, which looks like this. This is the main screen for your Cloud9 account. And on this screen, we can create a new workspace. A workspace is a container for our programming projects. It's the place on Cloud9 where our project will live. We'll always be able to find our project by its workspace's name by clicking Create New Workspace, which brings us to this screen, the Create New Workspace screen, where we can enter a workspace name. Name it MongoDB Web Project and use hyphens between words. And then we can add a description. It's not completely necessary. We will host this publicly, or you can host it with your one private workspace. In this step, we specify a URL to import a GitHub project into our Cloud9 project. Here we need to enter this specific GitHub URL to pull over all of the boilerplate code for our course project. It's important that we pull this URL down and get all of the code that we need to get our project underway. Pause the video, take your time, and make sure you get this URL correct. And when we've got the URL entered, you can click the Node.js template. We do have a Node.js project, and then click Create Workspace. And Cloud9 will create a brand new workspace for us and present it to us in this nice online IDE. On the left-hand side, we'll see our project structure. In the Events folder, our Events project shows 3 folders and 4 files: app.js, bower.json, gulpfile.js, and package.json. And that's everything that we pulled over from GitHub. At this point, we want to expand at the bottom of the screen our output display to make a little more room, and click the plus sign and click New Terminal. And with the cursor at the command line, we can change to the events directory. From this point, we can use some commands to set up the rest of our project. The first command we'll use is npm install bower-g. Bower is our front-end UI package manager, and we'll see what that's all about in just a few minutes. The -g in the command allows us to install Bower at the global context, not just within our project. So go ahead and hit the Enter key, and let's see what happens. And that seemed to work properly. We have a successful Bower installation. Our next task is to get Gulp installed. And the command is npm install gulp -g. We'll need Gulp at the global context as well. So go ahead and hit the Enter key, and we'll get that process going. If you're not familiar with npm, npm is Node.js's package manager. We use npm to install Bower, which is a front-end UI package manager, versus npm, which is a back-end package manager, the Node.js stuff. We're also using npm to install Gulp at this point. Gulp is a JavaScript task manager, which will help us do a bunch of wonderful things as we're building, testing, and compiling our work on our project. Now we need to run the command npm install. And what this will do is download and install all of the dependencies that we have for our project that we've specified in our package.json file, which is located here. If we look in the file, we can see that we've got dependencies here: EJS, Express, MongoDB, and Serve Static. We've also got dev dependencies: Gulp, Gulp Inject, Gulp.js Hint, Gulp NodeMon, JS Hint Stylish, NodeMon, and WireDev. By running npm install, Install will look into our package.json file, find all those dependencies, download them, and install them for us. This process can take even up to 10 minutes, depending on how many dependencies need to be downloaded and installed. So we have to be patient. You may see some odd things in the output that look like this. That's okay. They're warnings. We're still good. It looks like the process has completed. Everything is downloaded and installed successfully. Our next task is to get MongoDB functioning within our workspace. MongoDB is available in our Cloud9 workspace by default. All we have to do is turn on the server. The command to start the MongoDB server is MongoD. We do have to add a couple of tags to make it function properly. The first tag that we're entering is --bind_IP equals $IP. What we're doing is binding the IP address of the MongoDB instance to the Cloud9 global variable $IP, which is an IP address that's assigned to our particular project. The other tag or argument is --no journal, which we're using to turn off journaling in MongoDB because the Cloud9 instance that we're running in only has so many resources and cannot handle journaling from MongoDB. In looking at the output, we've got the last line that says waiting for connection on port 27017, so we should be good. We've handed this terminal window over to MongoDB, so let's open another new terminal where we can change into the events directory again, and we can start using Gulp by running gulp serve, which will get our application kicked off so we can take a look at it. Type gulp serve at the command line, hit the enter key, and we should see the output of the gulp file. Everything looks good. We have a minor warning. That's not an issue. And the bottom line says app server running on port 8080. And our application is available out there on the interwebs. So let's take a look with a new tab and drop in this URL. Now, this is my URL. Yours may be a little bit different. This URL is composed of 3 parts. The first part is the name of the project, MongoDB Web Project. If I go back to the IDE, I can see the name here, and I can actually go up into the URL here and take the tail end of it. That's the name of my project, and take it back over into our new tab, and we can see that's the same. The second component is my username for my Cloud9 account. And we can go back to the IDE and go to the Cloud9 menu item, go to dashboard, and we can see our username at the tail end of the URL. Copy that off, and we can go back to our new tab and see that the second part is our username. And the third part is .c9users.io. And when we get all 3 of those pieces of the URL chained together, we can get to our application. And here it is in its full glory. We've already taken a good look at this, so let's go back to the IDE and take a closer look at the code. Back in the IDE, we want to take a closer look at the 4 files at the root of our project. Package.json we took a look at already. Gulpfile.js is the configuration for Gulp, which helps us build, test, and run our project as we're working. The bower.json file is very similar to the package.json for NPM, but works for Bower. And it lists all of the dependencies that we have on our front end, which is Bootstrap, which also includes jQuery, and we're also pulling in Font Awesome. And if we look at the 3 folders at the root of our project, the source folder can be expanded. Within it is a subfolder called Views, and within that is a file called index.ejs. And this file has all of our HTML source code for displaying our initial web page. And if we look in the public directory, we can see all of the CSS fonts, images, and JavaScript that our Bootstrap templatized web page needs to render properly. If we look in the Bower components directory, we can see 3 subdirectories that show Bootstrap, Font Awesome, and jQuery, all of the dependencies that Bower is managing. And that is the state of our project at this stage in the course. If you're having any difficulties, maybe you missed a step, please go back to the beginning of this section and follow these steps again.